Hakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Nazir Daf Nun Tet Amud Aleph 59a1. Ika Da'amri, there's going to be another girsa, another version in Rabbi Yochanan, right? And it says over here like this: Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Says Rabbi Chia bar Abba, name Rabbi Yochanan. Ma'avir bet hashech vet ha'eva lo kem yishum lo yilbash geres min tisha. The person is going to come and he's going to remove his pubic hair or his armpit hairs. So he's going to get lashes. What is the lashes? Lo yilbash. Lo yilbash geres min tisha means that a man cannot wear a woman's clothing, and also vice versa. But here it's talking about the man cannot do what a woman does. And therefore, since a woman takes off her pubic hair and her armpit hair, so therefore it's prohibited for a man to do so. So ask the Gemara, maybe we're going to ask a question. I thought that you said that it's going to be the Rabbanan, not the Yisur Torah. You just told me now, Lokemina Torah, and it's a negative commandment from the Torah, I thought it was only the Divrei Tzofrim, which was only the Rabbanan. And so the Gemara, Hu Damar Keitani says like this Tana that says, there is a Tana that holds the Doraita. So therefore you see that Rabbi Yochanan holds like the Tana that holds that it's Doraita, and therefore you're copying a woman if you're going to come and you're going to take off your pubic hair or armpit hair, so and therefore it's going to be, right, exactly, it comes as it was a Machloka, whether it's Doraita Drabanan, it's Doraita. So Tanakama, but the Tanakama says, what does he do with the Yol Bash Kever Isha? So he says, he needs the Tanya the term Raita. What does it come to teach you? Shelo Yilbash Ish Simlat Isha, Isha Simlat Ish. So he says a man cannot wear a woman's clothing and a woman cannot wear a man's clothing. It already says it's an abomination, right? Which means the question is, at the end of the pasuk, it already says toivahi. So now if you're going to tell me now the opposite, it's not going to be a toiva. He says, ella, but rather, he comes and he says, Shelo yibash ish simlat isha v'yashev ben anashim, isha simlat ish v'yashev ben anashim, which means that the Torah prohibited the clothing in order to do znut. Why are you going to do znut? Imagine right now you come, you put on a woman's clothing. Now you sit beside the women. And now what happens is that they don't realize at the beginning that the guy's a man, he's wearing woman's clothing. So they take him as a woman. What happens? He's going to start doing immorality with them because he's already with them. Because there was like a permission to be there. You understand? So therefore the same thing. Is right that it shouldn't be that a man's going to wear a woman's clothing and then he's going to sit between the women. Right? And the other way around, the woman's going to wear a man's clothing and she's going to be between the men. Why? Because basically what's going to happen is there's going to be znut. So therefore, that's why it's a toeva. So it comes out that if the matara is not for toeva, there's no isur Torah. If the entire concept was a toeva, then it's going to be an isur. But if not a toeva, it's not an isur. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and Rabbi Elmaleh says, "Minayin shelo tetzei isha b'kli zayin lemilchama." How do you know that a woman shouldn't have weapons? Right? How do you know a woman shouldn't have weapons? So it says, which means that they should not have it. By the way, this brought on Oziel. On the pasuk of Simlat Isha, right? The Unklus speaks about this, that he says the Klizayin, and the Oziel speaks about Talit and Tefillin. Right? Just to show you. Why? Because they felt that this is, and that's what the problem was. For example, why is it that it's Moavi v'lo Moavit, right? Or Amoni v'lo Amonit? Only because women don't go out to war. But if women go out to war, then you have a problem then. So for the entire concept of women carrying women, it was not for them, right? It was something off guard. So Rav Nachman comes and he says, Benazir, when we're talking about a Nazir, that he comes and he has to finish his Nazirut, mutar, he takes off everything. That means he's going to take off the armpit hair, he's going to take off the pubic hair, because this is the mitzvah. Meaning that now, as long as it's becoming a mitzvah, there's no problem of coming and removing everything. Which means that even a Nazir, he's not allowed to take off the Se'ar Bet HaShech, your Se'ar Bet HaRabah. Amrule Rabbanan Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, says Rabbanan to Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, Chazil Rabbi Yochanan Diletle. When I saw Rabbi Yochanan didn't have Se'ar Bet HaShech, he's Se'ar Bet HaRabah. Meaning, I guess he saw him in the mikveh, he didn't have pubic hair, and he didn't have, it's asur. Amar Leon, he told Mechamat Zikna Nashu, he says, no, he was old, so because he was old, it fell off. Meaning, when a person gets older, sometimes it falls off, whether it's the hair, so that's why the pubic hair and all that, it just fell off. Okay. Which one? There was a person that he was chayav malkut in front of Rabbi Yami. And what happened? When they took off, right, his shirt in order to give him the lashes, he says, 1 second. They saw the bet shechi and they saw that the Se'ar Bet HaShechi was not megulach. Amalon Rabbi Yami when he said, leave him. Shivku, leave him. This is from the Talmidei Chachamim, which means that he knows that it's not allowed to come and take off Se'ar Bet HaShechi, So therefore, you're going to exempt him from the lashes, which means that basically he was obligated, lashes. And when they went and they took off his thing, he said, you know what? You don't leave him. Why? Because you could tell that he's not the person that he's doing all these things. So comes Rav and he asks from Rabbi Chia, Ma'u legaleach. What is the halacha to be megaleach the se'ar bet hashech yiseh bet harava? Elmaleh, he says it's asur. Elmaleh, he says v'aki gadel. He says what? The se'ar is gadel and it's going to be mitzair da adam. It's causing a person to harm, suffering. Elmaleh, he says barpahte ben gdolim zman yesh lo. Right? There's a zman. Zman shu gadel nosher. As long as it continues coming and growing, it also falls out. So therefore, he comes and he says it's not going to be gadel, right? Kulkach. Adam. That means it's not going to grow so much that it's going to cause a person to suffer. Okay? Fine. So ask Rav from Rabbi Chia, is it permitted to come and to start scratching in order that it comes and takes off? Meaning, if the person comes like this all the time, he's going to be pulling out hair. So can he continue doing like this and he's taking off the armpit hair or the pubic hair? So Elmaleh, he tells him it's asur. Well, can you do it with your clothing? Elmaleh mutar. He says with the clothing it's going to be mutar, but since you're doing it with the clothing, that's not the normal way of a woman. So ikadamer, that those that say ba mine betfila bevigdo mai. What's the halacha that a person in the middle of the tefillah is he allowed to come and take his clothing and start scratching the bet hashech bet harava in order to come and take off, because here he's in the middle of the tefillah. Elmaleh asur. He says it's asur, but the halacha is not like him. Why? Because basically you're allowed to do it in the tefillah because you're not actually coming and touching, right, the body. You're touching with the clothing. So therefore, even though you're doing like this, and now by coming and scratching like the armpit, you're doing it in the middle of tefillah. Yeah, but you're on top of clothing. So therefore, it's not going to be a suit. Okay? Nuntet Amubet 59b, the Mishnah. Met achad mehen. One of these two Nazirim, right, that you had a safek. You remember what happened? We said that there was two people they were going, and all of a sudden, the guy comes and he says, one of you guys are Tameh, I don't know which one. So one of them, they died. So Amr Bishua says, somebody else in the shuk has to make himself a Nazir kenegdo. And then what happens is, he says, so it comes out that person has to do two Naziruts misafek, because we don't know if he started immediately or not. Okay, or maybe it only starts after 30 days. Right? Everyone understood what happened? One more time. There were two Nazirim, right? A guy comes and he says, listen, I saw one of you become Tameh. I'm not sure which one, but I was so far away, I couldn't see which one of you was, but I saw one of you become Tameh. So what do we say? If you remember there, we said that after 30 days, they bring a Korban B'shutafut, one Korban Tahor, one Korban Tameh, and they say, if I'm Tahor, this is mine, and the Tameh is yours. And if I'm Tameh, so I'm the Tameh is mine and the Tahor is yours. And after the second 30 days, with Shutafu, they only bring the Tahor one. Why only the Tahor one? Because Manashach, both of them would be Tahor, and the other one doesn't need anything. Right. So if I'm Tahor, so then this is only your Korban. And if you're Tahor, so there's only my Korban. Right. But it has to be only one Korban Tahor. Here, what happened is one of them died. So since one of them dies, what do you have to do? You have to get another Nazir from the Shuk in order to replace the guy that died. Okay, that he also has to. Basically that he also has to make a nazirut. That also his nazirut is a safek, and therefore he's going to come. He's going to say the one that went from the shuk that he has to make the tanai. What is a tanai? Im tameh hayiti. If I am tameh hareata nazir miyad, so then you're a nazir immediately. And if I was tahor, so then you're only going to become a nazir after 30 days. Now, what does that help now? Remember one more time. You have Nazir number 2. Nazir number 2 died. They bring another Nazir. And now he has to make this condition. What is this condition? Very, very simple. Because if I'm Tameh, so then he is going to be a Nazir immediately. So therefore, after the 30 days, when it comes to 30 days, we're doing the same partnership. Now, if I was Tameh, so he was Nazir Tahor. That was the partnership in the Korban Tahor was for him.
But if you take the
yes. One more time. If I am Tameh, so his Nazirut comes immediately.
Okay.
And therefore what happens is, he's a Nazir. Mm-hmm. So after the 30 days, let's go according to the condition. I was Tameh. Let's pretend I'm Tameh. Mm-hmm. So I was Tameh. So now beautiful. I was Tameh. He was Tahor because he became a Nazir immediately. After the 30 days, we bring in a partnership, 2 Korbanot. Mm-hmm. Korban Tum'ah and Tahara. Mm-hmm. So now the Tum'ah was for me. Tahara was for him. However, though, if I was Tahor, so now what happens? How do we do it? So if I am tahor, so then your nizirut only starts after 30 days. So if I was tahor, I just brought a korban now of tahara, but I brought it in conjunction with another one of tum'ah. 1 second. But now what happens is I'm already pure. So the second month around, how do I bring another korban? I could only bring another korban because if I was tahor, his nizirut only started after 30 days. So the korban tahor is going to be for him, not for me, because I was the tahor from the beginning. The guy that deceased was the tameh. I was tahor. So now this guy comes and he's the guy from the shuk. His nizirut didn't start now. His nizirut started after 30 days. So since his nizirut started after 30 days, after the second 30 days, when we're both bringing together the korban tahor, it's for him. It's not for me. I was already tahor. I was never tameh. So therefore, we have to make this condition in order to get out of the doubt. Because again, we have a doubt. This guy is a doubt whether he's a nazir tameh, nazir tahor. So how do you get out of the doubt that we just mentioned now?
You're going to fade this guy, no?
Right. They're going to count 30 days, and then they're going to bring at the end korban tumah and korban tara. And he's going to say, if I'm the tameh, so the korban tumah is mine, korban tara is his. And if I was tahor, the korban tara is mine, and the korban tumah is a safek because of the safek. So because of this korban tumah, which is going to be a safek.
The second one?
Yeah, the second one is safek. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, the korban of tameh, right? Nobody was really tameh. This other guy was not tameh. So therefore, then what do they have to do? They have to count another 30 days, right? So frim shoshim yom, mevin korban tara. Then they're going to bring korban tara. The omen is going to say, imani tameh, if I'm the tameh, korban tumah sheli ve korban tara shelcha. The korban tumah is going to be mine. The korban tara is going to be yours. V'zeh korban taratim. This is the korban of my tara. Imani taor, and if I'm going to be taor, korban tara sheli ve korban tumah besafek. The korban tara is going to be mine, and the korban tumah is going to be from a safek. Korban tara techa. Okay, so therefore that's why he comes and he says that this is going to be your korban of tahara. Now Ben Zoma, he argues. And listen to what Ben Zoma says. Ben Zoma said, Ben Zoma, umisho mealo shidor keneged naziro. How is somebody going to come and going to be agreeing to such a case? Because I think the doctor was trying to bring this over. This is even worse than a nazir case. Because in a regular nazir case, it's only 30 days. Here, you're taking upon yourself a safek nazirut for 60 days. Because that's what's going on here. So who's going to do that? Ella, but rather, what you do is mevi chatat ha'of ve'olat bema. You bring a chatat ha'of and olat bema. Ve'omer, and then you say, im tameh ayiti, if I was tameh, hachatat mechovati, the chatat is my chova, and the olah is a nedava. Im tahor ayiti, and if I'm tahor, the olah is my chova, and the chatat is a safek. Right? So really, since it's safek, you don't really need to bring it. The sofer shoshim yom, then you count another 30 days. Or maybe korban tara, ve'omer, and you say, im tameh ayiti, if I was tameh, so then the olah rishona was going to be what? Right? The nedava. And this is my chova. And if I was tahor, so then the olah rishona was a chova, and this is a nedava. Right? V'zu shar korbanim, this is the rest of my korbanot. Which means that according to Ben Zoma, you don't get a second person at all. It's only one person. You don't get a second person. This one that's remaining, he just stays like that. Amar Rabbi Yoshua says, Rabbi Yoshua, so it comes out, this person is going to bring this korban for halfway. But right, the Chachamim were modim to Ben Zoma. Okay, so that means basically it comes out that he could do it, that we're not going to be choshesh to the ta'ana of Rabbi Yoshua, that you have to start coming and bringing it halfway and all those things. No, he brings it by himself, and that's it. So says the Gemara, why can't he just bring the korbanot? What's the big deal if he's going to bring the korbanot like in a partnership? So he only said it just to sharpen the students, right? That means basically when he went in, he said, I'm going to find, a person from the shuk or whatever it is. He wanted to see if somebody's going to answer him like Ben Zoma, right? That, so basically he wanted to test them. So Rav Nachman says, what are we going to do to Rabbi Yoshua, to the me'ayim of a korban shlamim, that they're not going to become rotten? Which means, according to his shita, they both have to bring a korban tara biyachad, which is an olah chatat and shlamim. The chalavim of the shalmei nazir, the fats of the shalmei nazir, they need tnufa, they need to be waved. So since they brought it together, you can't wave them. So for immediately afterwards, what happens? Right? Basically, they become rotten. Right? It has to go to waste. So that's why it's not going to be good to come and start bringing it right together. Because once you bring it together, it's going to be more of the problem. Let's just finish with the Mishnah. Nazir shaya safek tamei safek. A Nazir that was tamei safek. Umuchlat b'safek, and you have a metzora which was muchlat, right? But again, it's also misafek, which means that means it's the same thing. That means we have a safek whether it became tamei met or not, and also safek metzora muchlat. Now he became pure of the tzarat. Ochel b'kodshin, he could only eat kodshin after 60 days, but not beforehand, because a metzora is not allowed to eat kodshin until he brings his korbanot. Now he's not going to come out of misafek until after 60 days, because he does not become pure through the tiglachat, right? Because basically the metzora needs 2 different hair cuttings. So he says, and he cannot cut off his hair until he finishes for sure his nazirut. So therefore, because the nazir is not allowed to cut off the hair, so therefore he has to wait 30 days for the first time that he could cut off his hair, and because he can't cut off his hair before the 30 days, and then another 30 days to cut off the second time the hair. Okay? It says over here, because you're not allowed to take off the haircut from us because of the safek, because maybe he's not a metzora, and maybe he was also tamemet, so therefore anyway he was tameh again the second time. So because of that, he comes out of the tum'ah, and he's going to be able to come to eat kodshi, right? But he could only come and drink wine and eat and be metamim after 120 days and not beforehand, because after the 61st days, he still cannot be megalech in ziruto, because if he was not tamemet and he was only a metzora, it comes out that only now he starts in the zirut of the tara, and then he's not allowed to cut his haircut. So therefore he has to wait another 30 days. Exactly, and you have to continue going. Now he's going to do it after 90 days, and he still needs another 30 days, because maybe he was also a metzora and also tamemet. And only now he starts counting the Nazir Torah. So now he needs another 30, so it becomes 120. Because the Tiglachat Nega, which is Mitzorah, pushes off the Yisur of Tiglachat Nazir, is Manshu Vadai, only if it's a certain. But if Manshu Safek, but if it's going to be a doubt, it's not going to come and push off the Nazir. Have a wonderful day, Masechta.